So, Giovanni, did you know that the Beatles intentionally misspelt their name to reference the beat of a drum, perhaps, or in music, or maybe even the beatniks? Did you know that?
Well, I knew they intentionally misspelt their name, but I didn't know for what purpose.
Okay, well, I'll be honest, I made that one up, but I thought it was a plausible assumption to make. Um,
Potentially.
the yeah, potentially. The issue is that that's the extent of my Beatles knowledge, more or less. So now that we're getting into more Beatles material,
Uh,
you might need to carry this one.
I might need to. Is that so? Are we starting this episode with the Beatles?
Yeah, I think we should. And it also the video that we're doing today, A Day in the Life. Is this art house? Is this what you like?
Well, I do have to say, "A Day in the Life" is my favorite Beatles song.
Okay,
Um,
fair.
and yeah, I think it's probably that one. I mean, there are a number of good Beatles songs, believe it or not.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, we only drop the hottest of takes on this podcast.
Okay.
But, like, Eleanor Rigby is also very good, of course. But, yeah, I've
Yeah.
I've always been, partial to this one.
hmm
Um,
So what do you think about the music video then? I'll let you take that one away too.
I like this music video. I like it, um, at least a little bit more than the Strawberry Fields Forever music video, which we talked about on our first episode.
hmm
Um, so some things that I like about this, I do like how the franticness of the editing constantly matches the tempo of the song at any given point. So,
hmm
like, at the release at the end, it goes to slow motion, or in John's vocal rhythm for the "Now they know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall,"
Yeah. Yeah.
it slows down as he emphasizes hall, and it's pretty
Mm.
frantic for the parts that he rushes over,
Yeah,
and,
I was going to say this is probably besides like capturing some sort of epic shot of like someone jumping off a cliff or something. This has got to be the most liberal use of slow motion that I've seen in a music video.
yeah, and, uh, and that vocal, harmony that I mentioned that they repeat as a motif, that is
hmm
one of my favorite parts of the song too, so it's nice that they matched it.
hmm
Um, and so another thing that I think to talk about is the editing matches, but what about the images themselves? And
Mm.
I think sometimes the images match and sometimes they don't. Like the good one is they're filming Big Ben and they start shaking the camera that they're filming with when the alarm clock goes off.
That's a incredibly cheeky moment. That's someone knew what they were doing there.
Yeah, so I appreciated that one. Sometimes it's a bit more on the nose, haha.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but when the children are playing with guns while he sings about the English army,
Mm.
that image is basically a visual cliche at this point of, oh yeah, soldiers, they're just like taken like children, and
Mm.
they treat it like a game. So I'm less impressed with that one.
Wait, so when you said on the nose, you weren't referring to the shot of the symphony with their massive honkers?
Uh, well, I was referencing that, but that wasn't my
Okay.
main point. No,
That
those
wasn't the
that
actual thing that was on the nose. It was something
no,
else.
no, there were plenty of things on the nose. Those nose masks, I'm not sure that I have an opinion about them. They
Uh,
certainly add some layer of strangeness to it.
well, what else do you think was on the nose? Yeah, the kids, the Big Ben. What else?
I think it was mostly those 2.
Mm.
Uh, and the Big Ben I liked, the kids not so much. Um,
hmm
the the thing that I wish is so the song is divided into 2 different segments, the segment that John sings and the segment that Paul sings,
Yeah.
and there's not really a difference in the images that they use between those 2 segments.
No,
And
not really.
I wish there was because, like, the song is very distinct between those 2 parts. Um,
hmm
and, I mean, it does have the continual, uh, like, franticness and hecticness the whole way through where, like, John's part is kind of like a sort of nightmarish dream, but the nightmare is very mundane. And then in Paul's part, it's like he wakes up, but that kind of nightmarish mundaneness has blended into his life.
Hmm.
and then he slips back into the dream.
Okay. Well, that
But that's more to do with the song than the video, and so I wish the video captured
yeah.
as part of that.
I mean, I think the closest it gets is the shot of Big Ben is uh, I think pretty much the only outdoor shot in the like besides maybe the kids running, which
There's
is
also
like just
some
3 seconds.
police outdoors.
Mm, that's true. But even that has this sort of like grayness and fuzziness of the indoor shots, whereas the Big Ben is like the big crystal clear one, really.
Yeah.
But okay, I've got a I was holding back because I think this is a trash music video. Like
Trash
not
music video.
forget worse. Yeah, I'm even using the vocabulary of the hot takes. Um,
Wow.
this is a dumpster music video. This is a pleb music video because I'm saying even worse than Sergeant Pepper's Strawberry Fields Forever. Possibly the worst one we've done so far because there is practically no content of any substance in this video. Like the editing is clever at parts, has a bit of style, definitely works with the rhythm of the song, but the actual content of what you're seeing is completely meaningless. Besides, like the shot of the kids and the Big Ben, the rest is
Mm.
just them having fun. And honestly, like I feel like that's where some of the pretentiousness comes in. Like, why do I owe them any attention to just watching them just schmooze their friends and like some orchestra thing that they're doing? Like that has no that really has no appeal to me.
There is well, I mean, there is like there are recurring motifs, like them driving down the road and filming with the longer exposure, so you get the delayed
Yeah,
light effects. Um, but and so then yeah, there's I mean, it's mostly just them filming an an orchestra.
yeah, which is well them it's them filming an orchestra basically. Like the orchestra definitely takes up some of the music video, but there are just as many shots as the Beatles' faces close up talking to random people with cups in their hands, like you would on a set of something important.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you
and
catch the wonkiest image? It's at 4 minutes and 56 seconds. Ringo, he's looking down at the camera and like bunging it up and towards, or like
yeah,
towards and away from him, and
that
his
was
neck
interesting.
folds.
Yeah,
That was
his wacky neck folds. Yeah, that definitely adds
that
something to the video. Something about 0.0001 has been added to my rating of this.
really
Yeah, just for that. You're
well.
welcome, Ringo.
I think I mean I don't think this really adds much to the the song. I'd probably rather just listen to the song, but I don't
Yeah.
feel like as I'm watching this that it's actually taking away from it.
I feel like it is because the song has a lot of sort of different interpretations and um, definitely some surreal elements in it. I really like the line where they sing about how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall,
Yeah,
um, which is kind of like it has that perfect balance of like I can see them doing that, them vague them doing that in real life, and yet at the same time it just seems completely surreal when isolated by itself. um, and when they comment on it, just like how pointless it is to have that knowledge, basically. But the actual music video, the content of it is practically devoid. It's not particularly surreal, except just some random shots of people with big noses, which I don't know. There's very little to actually glean from that? Like, what's really the meaning behind that? What's surreal about that? I don't know. Guys with big noses, yeah, that's unusual, I guess. Um,
Well, isn't the
but
point that it's like it's close-ish to real life, but slightly off with all I mean, they're like making their song and everyone is like yeah, they've got like distorted facial features. I mean, maybe if it was better makeup, it would work better, but I'm not sure if the like deliberate awareness that it's not like that they're just wearing costumes is helps with that. And
mm,
I'm not sure
so
if
you
I'm
think if they like looked like zombies or something, like convincingly, that would change it, sort of?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that it's not convincing is like helps it or not. I kind of think it doesn't.
No, I don't
Um
think it does. It just feels low effort. Like the whole thing honestly feels low effort to me. But like just slap some big honkers on them. That'll be surreal, right? Because that's not what people have in real life. Like I think there's more to something being surreal than it just being like slightly fantastical or slightly unrealistic, you know?
yeah, it's that it's slightly it would be that it's slightly unrealistic, but it's supposed to be treated as though it is. Where people maneuver through something that seems off, but people act like it isn't. And
Yeah.
I don't know how well that comes through in this. You're saying not at all.
Well, I
And
think I think that's yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying maybe a little bit. I think the driving down a tunnel motif helps a bit.
Maybe. I just want to say I think this surreal is even more impactful when whatever they're treating as normal has reflects on real life in some way, right? Like, wouldn't you say that the line about how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall, what do you call that surreal? Because I did earlier, but maybe that's not
Yeah,
how it worked. Maybe.
I think so. I think the lyrics of the dream segments are all like yeah, slightly twisted versions of everyday occurrences,
Yeah,
which
and I
adds to
think
their uncanniness.
yeah, and I think it makes it either more uncanny or it just is equally uncanny, but more powerful when it's something that is seems realistic or probable from the beginning. So like the counting the holes in Albert Hall seems like something that would actually happen. And so the fact that they sort of point out how weird it is and then treat it like it's normal, like, oh yeah, now we know how many holes it takes. Isn't that something, right? Um, that sort of like makes that even more powerful. Whereas just random people with big noses or like that woman when she starts freaking out halfway through the video in the concert hall. Like that I don't really see as very powerful because I don't know I can't map it onto anything in real life really. And so undermining it, making it seem surreal is sort of pointless, you know?
Mm,
So um yeah, I feel like this is I'm gonna have to defend this. I'm just gonna bring this up now before you realize it for yourself. But last episode I gave Billy 2 out of 5.
yeah,
I'm thinking this one's a 1 out of 5.
really.
So I think this is worse than Billy.
Why? This one is like as I said, this one is edited so that the like regardless of what the images are, they are actually going past in like proportional to the music. So that's at least something. Billy has nothing going for it.
But the content of this Beatles video is so uninteresting that you could edit it as well as you like, really. It'd be nothing more than like just the pleasure of seeing rhythmic images.
Yeah,
Which
that's at least something. Billy doesn't even give you that.
no, I wouldn't want like the Beatles would not be better if like I just saw like a flashing light in tune with the rhythm of their music. I would want to tune that out and just focus on the music. Whereas the Billy music video at least like has some sort of reality TV appeal where you like get to like look down on and laugh at these trashy people, you know?
I I don't really view that as a good appeal of the video. If you're being more amused by how terribly constructed it is.
If it's at least something though. Like that's better than having basically no appeal. That's
Uh,
I mean, I don't need to convince you of this. I won't. I don't feel that strongly about it. I don't know how you're gonna give this like a 3 or something, but like the last, yeah, because the last Beatles one we did, Strawberry Fields Forever, you gave a 3, and you said this is better. But
yeah,
um,
I mean, I think I
I see no redeeming features about the content of this. And just to finish my piece here, if there's no redeeming features of the content, simply rhythmic editing is not something that a Beatles song needs. Like it's good enough to not need a flashing light in the rhythm of the music.
it's not just a like a strobe light though, like you're making it out to be. It is actually I mean, the images, yeah, I agree that they definitely could be a lot more interesting. Um, but I don't think it's a complete nothing. Like as I said, there's at least the Big Ben shaking in tune to the alarm clock. That's something.
That's like 3 seconds of a 4.5 minute video though.
Yeah, but I will say, or I guess this is my main defense of this as to why this isn't terrible is
Mm,
that watching this doesn't distract me from the song and doesn't make me and doesn't make my impressions of the song itself worse.
this one definitely did because I felt like, oh, just having wonky like shaky handheld camera movements and slow motion and wacky nose costumes and stuff, like that is the extent of this song. Like it's just drugs. It's just you have a trip and things seem weird to you, and then you write a song about how things are weird, and then in your video you just have weird things happen,
Mm.
but like low budget weird things, and that definitely hampered my view of the song. It's not like irredeemable because the way you described it before I think fits a bit better with the nightmare blowing into the day and all that sort of stuff. Um, or like, your bad drug trip or something flowing into the day. But it definitely challenged my appreciation of the song.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
I Hey, that's what happens when I see these. I'm trying to not go off on art house films here, but like I did at least read a Wikipedia page that this was filmed as a so-called happening, which is where it's just some sort of documentary style. I didn't really read it. I just saw the name, but and I saw
This
that
is
it's
like
like
the quality research our
art,
listeners come here
just
for.
just
I
like
skimmed a
art.
Wikipedia article. There's a word that stuck out to me. That word was happening. I
Yeah.
think this
Well,
is related to art house.
okay, wait. I even moused over the happening link, and I saw that it said it's some sort of art. Okay, I think I briefly looked at the Wikipedia page, and half of it was just about like where this name even came from. It was pointless, 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 pointless. Just like this whole video style, which is just let's just film the Beatles standing around and talking with their friends, but obviously, without sound, so it's actually devoid of value. Um, and I think this isn't really. I'm good at laying down my one here and then just moving on unless you
Um,
wanna convince
no,
me otherwise or something.
no, I think we've talked about this enough. I think my strongest points I made already.
Okay.
And I'm this still doesn't doesn't add anything for me really. Doesn't if it takes away, it's only slightly.
Okay.
Um, and so I'm gonna give this a 3. Maybe I'll knock it down to a 2, but I can't get as bothered about it as you are.
Okay. Well, it's a 3 for you or a 2? What should I put in?
3.
Okay. Cool. Um, Now speaking of drugs, I feel like this has been all of our coverage of the 60s.
Well, perhaps this was the 60s.
Oh, true, true. Okay, so have no issue then introducing the Rolling Stones' next video, um, 2000 Light Years from Home, which is basically, I think it's the album where they just thought, hey, we should just take drugs and make some music and see what happens. Um,
Well, let's talk about the Rolling Stones more accurately here. Many of their albums were like that. This was the one where their taking of drugs actually got in the way of them meeting the deadline, I think. Because
okay.
if you look at interviews with like Mick Jagger and others afterwards, they said, "Yeah, we wish we put more effort into that one."
Well,
Which ricking endorsement from the band.
yeah,
But
I mean, this song, I think is actually decent, and I hear a
yes,
lot
this
of sort of psychedelic rock. Um, I think I'm going to reference something that you haven't listened to, but Arctic Monkeys, their Humbug album, sounds a lot like this, where it's like kind of straight up rock and roll, but with a bit more like psychedelic twists to it. Um, what do you think about this song?
uh I I think this song is all right. There are parts to it that I like a fair bit, and parts to it that I'm don't really like.
Hmm.
And that makes it one of the better ones on the album. So overall, the
Yeah,
album's not.
that does make it above average for the album, well above average, one of the better ones. Uh,
Um, yeah. So uh some things to mention.
mhm.
First about the song itself before you get into the video, because I think we need at least some background of what the song is doing before we talk about the ways that the video adds or removes from that.
Okay,
Um, and I think the lyrics are a little goofy. I think unintentionally,
okay. Let me
and
look these up real quick.
and uh the at there's a like either it said it was listed as an oscillator on the page, and I thought it was
Okay,
a theremin, but it
yeah,
makes that very distinctly 60s ooh outer
yeah,
space sound, and
yeah,
that is like the biggest blemish on this song.
yeah.
And because it's like they're trying to make some kind of serious, contemplative, sort of celestial space rock groove, and then this "ooh" comes in, and, oh man, does it bring you back to Earth? Let's say
Does it
that.
does it bring you back to Mr. Spock's music from outer space?
Yes.
The level
Yes, it
of
does.
quality. Yeah, that's Oh man, that just struck me. We definitely need to do the video with Leonard Nimoy and the Hobbits. That is
Oh, yes.
that just let me just say this vocally so that it's recorded for all of time that we need to go back and do that. Um, that's a good one. But yeah, I don't think it's that serious. Like looking at the lyrics, there's really nothing much about it. They just talk about the sun and the moon, celestial things blasting off, and you're going into space. And
Yeah.
um, I
You're
don't think
going
it's
to
under.
space, but, like, things like the intro to the song where they've got, like, the drum just building
Yeah,
up like that, that's trying to be, like, at least a little bit unnerving tonally, trying to put you a
yeah,
bit on edge, trying to get you ready for blast off yourself,
yeah,
and
exactly. That's exactly what I want before I blast off is
yeah.
be on edge.
And then in the video, you get oh man, these costumes, they're probably the worst of I've
Were
seen
you
in music videos.
were you even able to see any of them except for Mick Jagger's though?
Fucking hat. The hat and all the tinfoil too. So many people, so much tinfoil on so many of them, and his weird makeup, and they just stare seriously into the camera as
Yes,
it
okay.
dissolves slowly from one to the next. And
There's a lot of staring into the camera for sure. There's a lot of headshots. I think whoever did their costuming maybe had some regrets and just asked shoot as many headshots as you can. Um because yeah, there's basically nothing. Just to summarize my impression of the video, it's basically just cycling through static headshots of various band members with different colored gels in front of the camera, like in front of
yeah,
the lens. Like
and
that's really all it is.
they're wearing the goofiest outfits ever. Like as soon as you got to that hat, that I don't even know how to describe it. It's like
It's
it looks a bit like a like handkerchief.
I think it gives me the impression of like some sort of medieval hat that you would see in an old painting and be like, wow, people actually wore that, you know? Like that's sort of what it looks like. Or it kind of looks like a Star Trek alien fashion choice. Like, you know, we just need something cheap to show this person is an alien. Let's make them wear something that no human would ever want to put on their head. Um,
Yeah. So
that's my impression. And the makeup, by the way, I think was also in the video for Jumpin' Jack Flash, which is a non-album single, which is why we haven't covered it. But that
okay.
was also short. That was also short-lived.
Um, but yeah, I think I just feel like the costume designer pranked them, and they needed to after they were shown these outfits and clad in them, they need to take themselves a lot less seriously or get their costume designer to take them more seriously because right now the combination of their like the serious build up, them staring ponderously with these absurd outfits, it just causes like the textbook example of bathos. And
I've
and
never heard
so
of bathos. What's that?
bathos, it's when two different elements just of
Oh,
something
okay.
gel so poorly that it causes a humorous effect.
This is actually a real word. I thought this
Yes.
would be like a internet term or something,
No.
like bad pathos or something. Just
No,
bathos.
no, no. This is a real word.
No, no. Yeah, this is okay. Well, now that I'm more literate, this is bathos incarnate right here.
Yes.
Uh,
And so I laughed like the whole time I watched this video. I watched it twice and I said that's too much. And
yeah.
and the whole time, both times through, I laughed all the way through. Uh, chewing gum also, I should mention that. Chewing gum returns at, 424.
Really?
Yeah.
424. I didn't notice that detail. I think. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh no, I see. I see. I hear some people chew gum because it keeps their like throat lubricated or something. Um,
Isn't that the drummer, though?
The drummer did last time. Yeah, you're right. This no, that in this one that was Keith Richards, I think, the guitarist. I think.
Okay.
I mean, either way, he's doing backing vocals. So yeah, I think yeah, it was Keith. Um, but yeah, so really, um, I was gonna say something. Well, let's see if it comes back to me. Um, oh yeah, this was my question because I didn't focus as much on the costumes. Um, I just think it really fails in many aspects. So the directing I already mentioned is just a lot of static shots for the most part and headshots, um,
Yeah.
which is you know not great. Usually, there's certainly you can tell it's kind of dated because there's a part where Mick Jagger sings two lines of the verse, but there's like a pretty substantial pause in between each line, right? And but the camera just holds on him the whole time, which is something I think now with better editing, or definitely even in the Beatles videos, you wouldn't have him basically just staring into the camera, not doing anything for like almost like 1 or 2 seconds in between lines, right? Like that'd be ridiculous. Um,
There's a lot about this that's ridiculous.
Okay, but that is like actual like I can. We talked about the wardrobe was a bit incompetent, but the directing too, like is what I'm adding to that.
Yeah, that is fair. I will not contest any, accusations of low quality on this,
Directing
video.
and editing, I should say, those together. But directing and editing was also not fantastic. But then I thought, what if I'm seeing this the wrong way? What if I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're struggling to shoot something interestingly, but maybe what they're shooting is just not interesting. And then I thought, is Mick Jagger actually a charismatic frontman of the band? Is he cool? Does he have any cool factor? People talk about
Wow.
his People talk about his moves,
Yeah.
but then But then you come across travesties like what I sent you.
Yes, that
Like that
so
video.
is this when we bring in
This
his,
this is
"You can't always get what you want"?
yeah. So this isn't like official an official part of this episode, but the Rolling Stones had something called like the Rolling Stones Circus or something. Um, which is where they just the Rolling Stone Rock and Roll Circus, where they just it had like did live versions of their songs, and if you caught John Lennon there at the end,
Yes, I did,
um,
and I
yeah,
was wondering what was John Lennon doing there?
I think they're just friends or something, just supporting your fellow musicians and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense.
Probably drugs or something, to be honest, but uh, yeah, so that was basically the plan, and they have a bunch of videos from that, obviously, of live performances, so they're not technically music videos. Um, but
Yeah.
in this video, Mick Jagger like gets into his Hunchback of Notre Dame pose and basically just twitches around the stage while yelling and pointing a lot. And that's not even the worst part.
He does kick
Like,
over the mic stand, and there's some diegetic noise for you, it
yeah,
clatters as it hits the ground.
there is. I think I'm not sure if he got close to hitting someone, but I do remember that. So
But
that's pretty hilarious. But that is not even the worst part of his dancing. His twitching humpback dance is by far the point where he just goes center stage in like his skin tight pants and
and he starts
skin tight
thrusting.
shirt. No, he starts by basically twerking, I think is the term. If we're
Yes,
gonna be using
he
this
twerks and
modern
then
slang,
thrusts.
yeah, he
I
twerks
was
and then
I
he
was so I was so taken aback by this. I have in my notes here that like I don't know if he actually is, but there's certainly he was certainly framed that way in this video that he's an odd-looking person. His limbs are too long for his torso, his mouth is too large, and his
well
erratic
that's
movements are just distracting. And
like
so
if yeah.
I have here perhaps I'd appreciate them more if I was a pubescent girl in the 60s. But
Maybe. I don't know. There are many. Again, I think the wardrobe doesn't do many favors because, again, like what they wore in Star Trek, which is like my other cultural touchstone for the '60s, obviously, is like those almost skin tight shirts that are like full length sleeves, but basically make you look like you're. I mean, I think Mick Jagger is about 100 pounds, but I mean, I'm just saying that the skin tight shirts and pants are not doing him any favors. Um, and
uh,
just to clear up his dancing, I think it begins as twerking, and you can actually see the moment where he realizes what's going on, and he's like, maybe I should do something more manly, and it just begins thrusting instead. And just like
yeah, but
I
he
guess
is also thrusting towards his bandmates, not towards the audience.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's that.
So
I think
you're
that's what led me to the impression that like, wow, maybe '60s era Mick Jagger is actually just tragically uncool. Just like
uh,
because
I did like I had to note this at like 54 seconds in, he pauses really strangely, and he looks up like making me think he's looking for a teleprompter or something. And he fumbles his lyrics a little bit, and
uh yeah, I didn't notice that, but
but I imagine
what
there isn't a teleprompter because he knows the song probably,
yeah,
but
yeah. What
it's
at
just
what time?
the weird look off to the side and things like that.
At what time did you say that was?
4 seconds in.
How many? 12?
54.
54. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Uh yeah, you just see some shenaniganery. But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous this video. I mean that someone to think that someone like 50 years later would make a song about how good his dance moves are really shows that things can age like fine wine apparently. Like things like people and styles can just somehow skyrocket in how people view them. I mean, maybe people always viewed his dancing as good, but like I don't know. This
I'm
is
telling you,
just
it's the power of teenage girls. They were
there's a lot.
attracted to him. I'm not sure why.
There's a lot of
Um,
teenage girls in the audience. Let's or not in the audience, but it like forefronted. Let me just say that much. That's a Top Gear strategy too. Um, John Lennon, even poor John Lennon gets shoved to the back. But yeah, it's that's what I don't know. I don't know if other people agree with me. Like the 2000 Light Years from Home is bad for like completely different reasons. Like Mick Jagger's barely even moving. Like maybe he's worried his clownish hat is gonna fall off or something. But like again, this is like a psychedelic rock song, and he's barely moving. He's just looking into the camera with us, as he's being shot, like as a static headshot, which is just like I don't know, basically no charisma in that.
Yeah, or there could be, but he doesn't have any.
There
And
could be, yeah. He's not doing any favors to the. He's not really moving
and
them.
I think his hat is not doing any favors to that because I mean, who's like the most charismatic person you could think of? Um,
Well, singer, like, just doing music, I can think of, Michael Jackson or
yeah,
um,
okay, but I
Johnny
imagine
Rotten.
if you took Michael Jackson and put that hat on him, I think even Michael Jackson's charisma would be dampened a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I think it's one of those things that where, and I feel like this sort of happens a lot in bad pieces of art, is that so many different things have gone wrong that you can't really tell what the original source is. If there was a just one problem that cascaded into a bunch of other problems, because just so many of them are equally bad that it's pretty much impossible to tell, um, you know, what the starting point of badness was, basically.
Yeah,
Like you could say, oh, well, this managed to still be good, which means that it must be this thing that was the original bad element, and that cascaded into making these things bad, but not these things. But then when they're all bad, you can't do that. So there's no you can't triangulate. It's just bad.
yeah,
So that's my
yeah.
theory on badness, on bathos.
On
Um,
Bathos.
yeah.
My theory is that this video is not good, but the wardrobe slaughtered it. It's like
Okay.
or maybe more accurately, maybe not slaughtered it. Maybe they're already slaughtered, but then the wardrobe came and like put their body through a meat chipper. And
I don't even know. I mean, I think the keyboardist has like some sort of interesting frills and stuff um on his wrists. I'm struggling, or the drummer. I'm struggling to think of what that actually is called. But at least the thing that gets the most
oh,
attention, the
they're playing
hat.
a mellotron for a lot of it.
Oh
The,
yeah, yeah.
the
I think I
like
was thinking of the drummer. Um, but yeah. So at least the ones that get shot the most, Mick Jagger and his like weird sparkling wizard hat is definitely what. So I guess the only question now is it a two or a one?
I think this is a one.
Okay, I maybe this
It's-
is my Billy issue again, but I think I'm comfortable giving this a two. Because it doesn't.
I think this actively makes the song worse. Like I mean, I listened to the song by itself also to be sure that I could say this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And as I listened to the song by itself, I mean, I had to look away from my monitor, which had their equally grotesque album cover
yeah,
and equally
yeah,
loud and disastrously wardrobed.
yeah.
Um, but but aside from those hysterics inducing aspects. I the song is like yeah, as we said, decent on its own. Probably one of the best ones on the album.
Came out the
Um,
same year as Sergeant Pepper's.
yeah, this was
But
their response to Sergeant Pepper's. You know.
I mean, basically they have the wacky wardrobe, they have the loud album cover. It's just gone wrong in every way instead. Um,
Yeah,
their
I think
music
the
is
album
substantially
cover.
different, but
I think their album cover had like a holographic aspect to it, so that when you turned it,
mm,
the image would become different, and that's why when I
nice,
see photographs of it, they always look slightly different from each other.
nice. Um, yeah. So I think the other thing
So
that I didn't really get is they seem to be close to each other. Like there are a lot of shots with one person that's effectively headshots, but like you see someone's hands in the foreground or something, and it's kind of a jammy song. So at least like how they didn't just get at least one shot of them all together playing or something, like just jamming out a bit more. Like they're on a spaceship and you have time to kill, so you just jam in or something. Like how they didn't even do that is just kind of mind-boggling. I don't know. Um, I feel like it does not. I did not find it as funny as you did. I didn't laugh at all, really. I just was sort of bored by it and mildly amused by his hat. Um,
Uh,
I also thought the intro was I actually think the intro of this song is pretty darn boring. Where it's supposed to be building suspense, I just get bored by it instead. So the fact that I had something to look at, I guess, um,
but it's
helps
not like
that
it's
part of
not
the
a
song.
good thing to look at. This is
Uh,
you can't tell me that this music video is actually better than the Beatles music video.
I think it's more competent. I think it's less competently made. Um,
Exactly.
but again, I think that's maybe a bigger question of like, is skill in art the only important thing, like technical skill and that sort of thing. Um,
Well,
I'm
let's
not
not get
sure.
into this super long debate again.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I didn't think we have had done that yet.
Oh, okay. Well, it was kind of tied into what we talked about last time.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
but what else, like, let me ask you, what are you getting value from in this that is actually something good about it? Because you can't
So
say, oh, it was amusing because of how poorly it was put together.
no, I didn't laugh that much at it, to be honest. I just felt the bit of the bathos, a bit of the dissonance going on. Between really, it's just between. I think it's a neutral song. I don't think it's particularly serious. It's just about blasting off into space. Um, it's just the serious, the at least the neutrality of the song compared to the uh, whimsical wardrobe. Um, really of just Mick Jagger, to be honest. I think everyone else's wardrobe is fine,
There's
but you
got
don't really see
tinfoil on him.
who.
Someone's got tinfoil on him.
Whoa, almost fell over.
If
We
if you
don't need to cut.
literally go to 12 seconds in, I don't know who that is. He's got glasses on and like a tinfoil hat and a tinfoil scarf.
Okay, yeah, you're right. He doesn't really come. He doesn't come back though, does he?
I guess they realized their mistake of even
I,
putting him
I,
like
yeah, I don't think I see him again. I think that might be the drummer, and you only see the he only sees the drums for the rest of the video. Um, yeah, even Keith Richards, I think he usually has the blue gel, the guitarist and backup singer. Like he's just doing the '60s like head bobbing guitarist thing that everyone did
actually, you do see the guy with the tinfoil again at the end at 4:36. He comes back to
to close
sandwich
it
it.
out. Crucial. Yeah. I think it's like the same shot. It's like the exact same angle, basically. It's definitely just
Maybe
edited.
maybe they just set up one camera that for him
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
specifically.
Yeah, I just it's not it doesn't sabotage. I think that it depends how you're interpreting the ratings for me. Like, there's nothing um like this is a bit of a nothing sandwich to me. Like it doesn't leave me with much of an impression in either way. But the fact that they at least made an effort makes it kind of less pretentious than the Beatles one, where apparently they can just like have shots of them talking with their friends and edit it rhythmically to make it count as art, um, which I find kind of obnoxious. Whereas at least this one, I don't find insulting.
With with this one,
So,
I find that all the ways the music video matches the song is undesirable, and in that it vastly increases the campiness of the
okay.
the material.
I was not that overwhelmed by the wardrobe and that sort of stuff, so I think I just allowed it as a hey, it's the '60s moment. So I accepted that, but it's definitely a low two for me. It might become like if we end up changing the rating system or like recalibrating it, um, it could go down to a one. But I'm gonna stick with a two, and you're gonna be a one.
I'm gonna be a one for this.
Okay. Um, I
And
think, yeah,
so now do we move on to the Monkees?
I think we move on to the Monkees because if you were down on the Rolling Stones, if you were down on the Beatles in 1967, uh, I think most people were actually because the Monkees outsold both the Rolling Stones and the Beatles in 1967.
That is not true.
Is that
Uh,
not true? Is that made
no, that
up?
was just something that he claimed in an interview, and people believed him. Um,
Really?
yeah,
What?
that is my my minimal amount of background research is this, and
It
it is
was
apparently slightly more than yours.
really? Well, I
Yeah,
mean, I didn't click any sources. I just thought of things that I know about the Monkees. That's not true.
that's not true.
Are you sure? Because they made three albums in 1967.
I'm sure. This was explicitly mentioned on their as like a note on their Wikipedia page is that the guy just claimed in an interview like 10 years later that he had outsold the Beatles and the Stones combined, and
He,
people believed him.
I'm not sure about combined. I thought it was just individually.
Uh, I don't.
And that would make sense, I think, to me. Because the Rolling Stones weren't massive, and I think they only made one album. Like if you make three albums in a year, that's
Um,
good.
I let me.
The Rolling Stones only made two. This was back when you counted the number of albums you made in a year. Um,
Uh,
well, while Giovanni's doing this research, because we are dedicated to factually uh, correct podcasting, um, I will just briefly go over my impression of the Monkeys video, and that is that I think they did this in one shot or maybe two. Um, there's there's some technical flaws sort of all over it, like the microphone keeps wobbling, the drummer's microphone keeps wobbling. Um, I guess it's the only technical flaw I noticed, but there's also just the general personnel flaw. The guitarist, I always thought he looked like he's like 5 years older than the rest of them, and has moved on with his own interests in his own life. And he's not interested anymore because he basically has no expression on his face for the entire video. And that's about as much time killing as I can do. Giovanni, have you?
I found in an article. It says so when they were being interviewed in 1977,
Yeah.
he told them that he outsold the both of them combined.
Okay.
Um, and the the guy just the guy who's interviewing him just believed him,
Yeah, you would.
and um, geez, it doesn't. And so that's just it says it's not true that he outsold both of them combined. I don't know. No one ever talks about it individually because that's not what he claimed.
Yeah. That would make more sense to me. I wouldn't think you would do it combined, but I mean, it's not like that wasn't the height of the Rolling Stones really. And the Beatles only made one album that year, I think.
Yeah, but that was like their biggest album.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's also the height of the Monkees. We're talking about the power of the teenage girl uh, consumer base. So,
Yeah.
um, okay, fine. Let me hit you with another bit of trivia. Do you know what David Bowie's? This one is definitely correct. I double checked this one. Do you know what David Bowie's real name is?
No, I don't remember. I think I've heard it
It's
before.
it's David Jones, and he went by Davy Jones. And then the Monkees came out, and their singer, the guy with the eyebrows and the motionless shoulders, playing the tambourine, his name is Davy Jones, so he had to change that. And then he
Ah,
changed it to Tom Jones, and then the Welsh singer Tom Jones started making music, and then he switched again to David Bowie. Now,
uh,
enough of that. What do you
enough of
think of the
that.
video? Enough of the
Time.
trivia. Who comes here for trivia? Am I right? Like,
Yeah,
there's
it's
like a
time
thirty
for
percent chance of it being right anyway.
for my impression, which is I found this video empty, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
it's just them performing, and the only thing that I think is noteworthy about it is that all of them start jamming except for the guitarist, who remains completely phlegmatic the whole time, and so
Yeah.
every time it cuts to a wide shot that has the 4 of them, I chuckled a bit just because
Yeah.
of that difference.
They
Um,
kept it for the most part solely on his guitar. That was, I think, the strategy. I
yeah,
was saying that I think he comes across like the guy who's like 5 years older than the rest of the kids and is totally moved on with, the antics that they usually get up to. Um, but that's I think he's
yeah,
actually he's only like 1 year older than them, something. But
he he couldn't get into the rhythm with the rest of them. Like, they're going, they're getting excited.
yeah,
Tambourines
they
is shaking.
they are really getting exciting. Like I think Davy Jones, the Chekhov lookalike guy, um, he is actually like somehow getting his entire body into just hitting a tambourine, and it's necessary because he seems to have paralyzed his shoulders. So he needs to do a full body shake just to get his hands to bump into each other. Um,
Yeah, so
but okay, so I guess I'll just say I'll come out. I'll say that I think this is a 3 for me. This video, um, because the sheer joy that the two frontmen of this band, like the two foregrounded members, bring to it, I think is enough to make it a positive experience for me. Like they're basically just hype men. Like there's actually relatively little keyboard in this song except for the chorus, and Davy Jones is just playing the tambourine and singing backup vocals. So they basically have nothing to do except for like holler and hoot and clap and dance basically.
I I'm gonna give this a 2, um, because it this one, the guitarist's just bizarre disconnect from the rest of the group distracts me a bit. Um,
Yeah. I think he's supposed to be like, because this was a boy band basically, so they had to hit every demographic, right? I think he was supposed to be like the nerdy one or the emotionally detached one, which I think that was a type back in like the 20th century and earlier, was emotionally detached. Um, so
okay,
I think
well,
that's
I'm still gonna criticize it.
that's
Uh,
that's that's fair.
I and, so yeah, and this is a music video that I actually find just boring because, I mean, well, I guess it's kind of hard to find it too boring because they do get excited,
Yeah.
but the way it's, like, actually put together as a video is not really that interesting. It's just, like, photography of them playing the instruments, so I think it's pretty similar to, The House of the Rising Sun for me in that regard.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the directing is a bit less interesting than House of the Rising Sun, or like at least the blocking and that sort of stuff. Like they're just, even though they're sort of moving around and having a good time, they're still just standing right at their microphones and such, right? Um,
Yeah.
but this to me is like a movie that has a very good plot and very good acting, but not very good directing, basically, or editing.
Uh,
And I think the acting and the plot is good enough. I mean, I guess some music videos actually have plots, and this one does not. So maybe I shouldn't say that. Um,
yeah.
we're
I
actually
think this
we're gonna
technology is
get
falling
to
apart.
we're gonna get to a music video that has a real plot after this.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Now
but
that's what I'm excited to talk about.
well, hold your horse, because I'm not. Maybe I've done a poor job explaining it, but um, I think it's part of it. I think is how you qualify what a music video is. But if I saw someone lip syncing a performance, basically, right? But the performance was very good and interesting, and the directing was just like, a more or less flat stage wide shot of them, I could consider that a good music video. Um, just because the performance is good, basically. Um, just as I would say, oh, that was a really good live performance. Even if they were lip syncing, that wouldn't really take that much. That would just, for me, make it fall into the definition of a music video rather than a like live performance. And I wouldn't take that much away from it for that.
Okay.
So maybe that's just my expectations of a music video, but that's why I don't mind this because for me it's just like, hey, that was kind of a good live performance. They just happened to be lip syncing.
Uh, well, I guess I'd take a fundamentally different approach to you because if I paid to go to a concert and the singer was lip syncing, and I'd be pretty
Yeah.
disappointed.
Well,
Um,
but I wasn't expecting a concert, I guess. Because I didn't pay to go to a concert. I just watched a music video, I think that's different enough.
yeah. Um, but when I watch a music video, I expect them to actually do something with the video medium
Mm.
to make it have some kind of purpose outside of them just because this isn't really even a music video. It's just a recording of them playing the song live.
I don't
Um,
even think it's not. Yeah, I
or
guess. Yeah, play them playing
or
it.
yeah, I don't
The
know if
audio isn't live though. Yeah.
yeah, it's just they used to do those on television a lot.
Yeah, it was like
Mhm.
Top of the Pops, which we're not gonna do, I don't think, or else we would have like millions of videos to get through. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't mind some Top of the Pops performances if they're decently performed. I guess so. Maybe that's just a difference in how we define and what we expect from a music video. But I think I take this more to be like a documentary, basically. Like it's just documenting what they look like when they're playing, and they look like they're having fun. So I like it as such. Um,
Sure. And when I say a two, I guess this is like a stronger two because I'm not bothered really by watching this. I'm just not
yeah,
enthused by anything.
okay, yeah, and I don't think my expectation for music videos versus yours is more or less correct. So I think it's just a matter of um, how you define a music video and that sort of thing. But that being said, so I guess I thought of the transition into this song based on what I thought of it and what I thought of the Monkees version. And that is, they seem to genuinely enjoy their song, and they seem to be having fun, and not jaded at all. They're not compensating. They believe in their song, even though someone else wrote it. But they believe in their song. They're having a good time. They think that just them being themselves and performing without much distractions is sufficient. And you get to Smash Mouth and their cover of the song.
Yeah.
And I
But then
guess
we
I
get to
can't blame
Smash
them.
Mouth.
I guess I cannot blame them for maybe realizing that they are repugnant and need to distract the audience from exactly. I don't even know how to put it. Like I don't understand why I find them repugnant. Maybe it's just the singer. Maybe it's the whole band that looks like a bunch of goobers. Uh, but
I I think
just help me out, Giovanni. Just help me out.
I think the the whole band have the all right. I guess let me make a good analogy. How far did you get into Bergson's essay? Just to
Uh, I'm like I'm like 30 some. I'm 36 pages in.
did he start talking about about states permeating each other?
No.
Okay, well, one of his things he talks about how your feelings are uh like outside of or not spatial in the way that they although they seem distinct in some ways, each one shares the color and the shade of all the others and they permeate each other. And
Okay.
likewise, I think this band has somehow managed to capture that in space. and that each
Mm,
one looks somehow like they like by themselves. They're not a complete being, and together they form a kind of unit where each one takes on a per a they all have a shade that is similar, and they're each a
yes.
semi-unique expression of it. And so I think this culminates in Steve, the lead singer, who looks he's just he's such an unusual looking person. Um, and
Especially
certain
for a lead singer, I should say. I don't think he's that unusual of a person, but especially for a lead singer, he definitely has an unusual look.
yeah, he I wouldn't be too surprised if I saw a guy like this walking down the street, but he's putting the way they block him in every shot. It seems like they try to make him look gigantic and towering over everything else with the
Well,
fisheye lens at first.
yeah,
But
yes, because that's exactly what I was going to say. When we get to the 2000s, like in our chronological order, when we'll be doing mainly early 2000s stuff, there is nothing I dislike as much as the constant use of the fisheye lens and the low angle fisheye lens too, which is really not doing any favors for Steve in this video.
yeah, yeah. Well, the thing if you go to uh a minute and 12 seconds, I think this is the money shot in the whole thing because this is his beard is really the most distracting part about him in this because even in other videos he has slightly different facial hair. In this one, it's this chin strap line that is the only thing, if you go to 112, that actually creates any semblance of a distinction between his jaw and his neck and his torso. Because otherwise, it just looks like each one melds seamlessly into the other, and there's no distinction in his person. And
I see what you mean. Yeah,
and it is
that is the money shot.
listeners, rest assured, this image will be either in our thumbnail or in the background.
True, true. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with they don't look too absurd like by themselves, but when you put the four of them together, you realize that they are each distinct expressions of the same sort of ridiculous personality. Um,
Yeah, and
I didn't have as much of an issue of the um fisheye lenses and and the
oh,
making as
I
as as possible.
let me be clear. I found all this stuff captivating and worth remarking on. I'm not convinced that this is bad
This,
necessarily.
this
I think
okay,
their version of the song is much worse, and I would never actually listen to this version of the song over the Monkees version of it.
yeah.
But this video, I watched this video multiple times, and I was entranced from start to finish, just absolutely fascinated. Just right from the get-go, when he's shoved his cock and guitar into the front of
This
the
this
fisheye frame.
this is I was just going to say when I said that they feel like they're compensating for either themselves like not having I think they definitely have their own confidence. I just don't think they have as much confidence in the song because as I said, this I did do some research on. Smash Mouth, like when their singer came out, he was like, "Yeah, I was being told by every producer that like we had just changed the game. Music was not going to be the same after Walking on the Sun, our first single came out." So I think they definitely have confidence in themselves. I think they're just that is um, extending to they since we did not write this song, it must be bad, and we need to try and make it better with the most ridiculous music video possible. Because not only does it open with this man's guitar shoved in your face with the big fisheye lens, it even has like the pinhole like effect, I guess, whatever you would call that, where like it
Yeah.
actually opens out in a circle, and my man Steve is just like pointing at the guitar like it's
This is what's
like
up.
this yeah, exactly. Like this is your time to shine, man. And then I'm gonna hop on the mic and it's gonna be freaking epic.
Yeah, and then the camera goes all the way up to his face and then zooms out so that you can see all of them
Yes.
while distorting them all.
Yes. But okay, weird direction aside and like our opinions on Smash Mouth aside, the plot of this actually makes no sense whatsoever. No sense, especially compared um to the actual song. And this
The
isn't
well,
bathos because it's not funny. It's just irritating that they seem to have completely misunderstood this song and
I
made like a massive budget music video and a terrible comedic plot just to reveal that they don't know what the song is about.
I will agree that this music video has very little relation to the song as a
Yeah.
song. But Alex, this is something you haven't seen Shrek, so you don't realize this song is in Shrek. And so
I know it's in Shrek because
and so
like on
this is
Spotify
about
this song
this
is called like I'm a Believer from Shrek. That's what it's called on Spotify.
this is their their commentary on the Shrek movie itself. This is about I'm a believer within the world of
Yeah,
Shrek.
yeah, because they exit from like the Shrek like premiere or something, and then they go to the fairy tale convention later on. But
Yeah. And so
but
well, first we need to say
yeah.
this is so saturated. Like
Yeah,
that the
that's their style
photography
though.
is so saturated. And so these reds are popping out everywhere they go. His red sunglasses
His red
are-
sunglasses are really probably the best part of the video, to be honest. It's like they're like almost the same shade as the cross-dresser man's face.
yeah,
But
but
here's what irritates me. Can I just get this out so that we know what my critical flaw of this
yeah.
is this is a video that seems to capitalize and it's like the equivalent of an earworm. Like it tries to make it more earwormy by having this recurring gag of weird face reveals because every time, as they say often in this song, then I saw her face, and it's something funny. It's like a guy or a monkey or something like that.
Yeah.
And what I fail to understand, like besides the corporate perspective of like we need something silly so that everyone remembers, then I saw her face, and it's like hey, it's that song from Shrek. But the actual song and like literally the next lines in in the chorus is I'm in love. I couldn't leave her if I tried. So
Yeah.
it makes no sense that like these face reveals are paired with that part of the chorus. Unless you take it the music video as a whole, with like him seeing this girl's face to begin with or something, like when she drops her keys. But then the
Yeah.
viewer doesn't even see her face, so that it's sort of hard to make
Well,
sense of
yeah,
that.
they're building up her face for the reveal. Because I mean,
That she's
he
just
must
got a
have seen
normal
her face.
face. She's
Alex,
just not a man or a monkey.
you can
That's
intuit that he's seen her face because that is how he distinguished her from all the other nearly identical looking blondes in that that
right,
one
right, right.
scene. Which that's a pretty good one where he walks in, he's like, "Whoa!" He's getting flushed, he's getting flustered.
Yeah, but then no, because then at the end he's doesn't even what does she say like what are you doing tonight or something and he's like I'm busy and then leaves. So like
And
it
she
doesn't that
asks
doesn't
for
even
his
make
number, and then
oh
he's like,
Jasper yeah
"Nah,"
nah
and
I
he
gotta
leaves.
go. So that even that doesn't make sense. Like the the whole part about seeing her face and then falling in love and like having your belief in love restored doesn't make any sense because it's never the case in any of the first few choruses where like he sees the crossdresser and the monkey. And it's not even the case at the end when he shows up to the woman whose keys he picked up. So at no point does this movie
He is not a
does this
believer in love, that is
no,
true.
he's not a believer in love, and that's what the whole song is about.
Yeah, and so this is my take on it, which is that Smash Mouth's version of this song as a song is really bad. But because the video is so completely detached from that in every way, as you've I think sufficiently proved,
Yeah.
that is actually its saving grace, and that
Mm.
it actually transforms it into something else. And that I find this was the video that captivated me the most out of all the ones that we watched for our episode today, because just the whole way through, it does seem like any kind of plot within it just seems to be a bunch of non sequiturs. Like why he chases after this woman to return her keys and then doesn't even want to talk to her after that. And 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 just his like just how why he's in the world of Shrek where these all the fairy tales are like
Well, that's
fighting
because
each other and
he's at the fairy tale convention, my guy. So that's where they did
that
the
he's at
fairy
the
tale
fairy tale
show.
convention.
Yeah,
And
that's what it says above like between random things because obviously like they need to just fill this with as much stimuli as possible. But like as he chases her in, a fight breaks out between a man dressed up as a pig and someone in a popcorn costume. Uh,
yeah.
it's little things I notice, but
Well, the other little gems that are quite wonderful are when he runs into the hotel corridor and starts opening the doors, and it's just edited to scenes with Shrek. And the
that's not a
best one,
little gem. That's a pretty overt gem, but yeah.
no, no, the little gem from within this is that so in the Shrek movie at the end, Donkey sings "I'm a Believer,"
Oh, he
they've
does. Okay.
they've actually edited it so that the lyrics in the song correspond to Donkey singing it in the movie when he opens the door on
You're
Donkey.
kidding. Okay, I did not notice that.
Yeah, so
Oh, you're right. Oh,
it's
and
little
then he shakes his head. Okay, that is kind of funny. That is kind of funny. Then Steve is wondering what's going on there. That's all right.
yeah, just so yeah, just this super poppy saturated image, often with fisheye, just this weird carnival, basically. This carnival of grotesqueries. It is completely unrelated from believing in the power of love.
I
Because
think I
he's
think
just like the power of showing off is what
I
he's
think he's making fun of the song. Like the, they're overcompensating so hard in this video because I think they like don't really believe in the song or I don't know. They kind of think it's below them or something.
I don't know.
And
I took
then
this to be that they accepted that they were just the Shrek band with this music video.
okay. But then I feel like the ending of the plot in this video is what sort of supports my interpretation because then they undermine the whole idea of uh having your faith restored in love after seeing this woman's face because then at the end he isn't even in love with her. He just leaves, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like
Uh,
that's and sorry, just one more thing, just because I feel well,
you have to mention the
I feel
day
like
for night because that is quite
I didn't even
something.
notice the day for night.
Yeah, and when they get on the
Oh,
boat for the whole boat chase, it is they have such bright lighting on them that and they're trying
yeah,
to
yeah,
see
yeah.
day for night at once.
No, it's well, it's a pretty obvious set, so I wasn't too
Yeah, well,
I
that's also
wasn't too
and then when he hands her the keys, they've got this very like this painted backdrop, or it might just be green screened.
yeah.
Um, either way, the whole thing. It's like they're maneuvering their way through movie set after movie set, and so I think it's kind of interesting in that way.
I just don't know. He gets onto an actual boat, and it seems like it's actually raining.
Yeah,
Um,
there's it's a switch between fantasy and reality.
yeah, okay, just for that one scene, I guess.
Well,
But
the whole
it
thing is fantasy permeating reality. Is he is running into fairy tale creatures.
right. Um, yeah. I guess when he opens the door and sees real CGI'd creatures, that's sort of unrealistic.
Yeah,
When did All Star come out? Because you said that this is them accepting that they're the Shrek band.
yeah. Well, this
Maybe I need to understand better the story of Smash Mouth because like they had like a bunch of big hits sort of back to back, right? They had All Star, they had Walking on the Sun. That was 1999. 2 years after, you're on the soundtrack to a massive movie. Like, how can you be resigned at that point to being like a fad when you basically just got like three big hits in a row?
maybe their music video director had more foresight.
Sorry, I want to correct myself. Walking on the Sun was 1997. So 1997, you have your first big hit that apparently changes the entire production game. 2 years later, you have All Star. 2 years after that, you're like the biggest name on the Shrek soundtrack. I don't know. This seems like they were just sort of looking down on it and like making a joke of it. I mean, maybe it's like a postmodernist, realistic interpretation of Love at First Sight, um,
Yeah,
where
I
like
think
it isn't actually love at first sight. You're led to think that way because they're subverting the cliche that is represented in the song
yeah, I
via
think
their plot.
I think there are layers to this video, and I
So,
think
so
that
you think it's
the
actually clever?
Smash
It's
Mouth
actually clever.
I think the Smash Mouth band is unaware of them. I think the Smash Mouth band is doing their own thing, running throughout the set of this
Okay,
world of fantasy creatures, and they're being just like taunted by the director.
but so many parts doesn't make sense. Like don't make sense. Like when he finds the cross dresser, he screams, right? Which I guess
Yeah,
is like kind of like I can
and
kind of buy that because he was expecting something very different. But then the man just screams back at him. Like what is Steve that scary? Like
wouldn't you be
at
scared if you saw
at the
Steve?
end no, at the end the woman's like, "Hey, you're Steve from Smash Mouth." And like kind of impressed. "Hey, it's Steve." But this man is just like yelling in his face.
Maybe that's why he shouted back.
I, maybe but
I would
God,
like to point out, Alex,
I'm mind
when he
boggled.
when he shouts at the the cross dresser or just the man with the long hair. I don't know what it's supposed to be. Um,
He must be a cross-dresser because like he was wearing like a jean skirt or something, right?
but then
And
I mean, there's a cut there, and
yeah, but if for Steve to actually think that this is the same woman, this other guy must be wearing also at least a skirt, right? Maybe?
I'm not sure.
Or
But
is he
anyways,
just wearing normal jeans? Like he's just wearing pants?
that is the most replayed part of the video on YouTube.
Yeah,
That the people have clicked on to watch over and over is the
because
two of them shouting at each other.
plebs who don't even know that this is a love song just think it's some funny song about like being like disgusted at some woman's face. Like, yeah, I was looking at her legs and she was looking pretty fine, and then I saw her face. You know, like that's what this video turns the song into, which is disgusting. Um, or at least
Maybe. I think I think
that's
that's
what
what
that
Smash
was.
Mouth turns it into, and then I think the video turns Smash Mouth into the butt of the joke themselves.
Or at least, but the actual plot kind of turns the woman into the butt of the joke. So I don't know. I don't know how it's
The
kind of
joke is that she
impossible.
was even attracted to Smash Mouth to begin with. She's a fool for that reason.
Okay, but there and then Steve is just too chaste because he's just not attracted back. That's yeah, yeah. So you think this is? Do you see what I'm coming from though? Where
Well, I
it
can
looks to
completely
me
understand the entirety of your annoyance. I just
like they just made it dumb basically.
yeah, and I just think I think yeah, I think Smash Mouth as a band are like noxious in a number of ways. Their song covers just make the actual songs themselves so much worse. But let me
Yeah.
put it like this. I would never ever tell anyone that they should listen to Smash Mouth's cover of any songs except as a joke. But and even then, I don't know. But this video, I might say, yeah, this video is something else. You need to check it out.
But it's something else in the same way that like the Billy video is something else, isn't it?
No, I don't think the Billy video is even interesting because
Okay, I can actually see that. It's more the song that's something else, and the video is kind of bland. Yeah,
yeah.
I can see that. But let me put it this way. I
So
can't
my
tell. Yeah,
yeah, go on.
I can't tell if Smash Mouth slash the director didn't understand the song and ended up writing a plot to their video that just happens to sort of subvert the clichéness of the original song. like as an accident. That's what I think most people get away from. Like that I think the impression that most people get from this song is just a mistake. Like, oh, it's a song about like being let down by someone's ugly face or something. But I can't tell if that's actually it, and most people are right, or if they actually intentionally undercut the cliche of the original song and subverted it in an interesting way. I can't tell
Yeah,
because
likewise, I am my only hang up on this is I'm not sure to what degree this being something else is praiseworthy or not. And because I do have to say I was fully fascinated the 3 times I watched it, but I'm not sure if my fascination was that of sick pleasure or actual interest. And
well, yeah, the sick pleasure. That's what Billy was for me.
okay, because if this was sick pleasure, I would just give it a low score, but I found I can't just I don't think I can reduce it to just sick pleasure. So I think this is actually out of all the music videos we talked about today, this one was the by far the one that captured my attention the most. And I'm not sure if that's just because they've jammed it with as much stimulus as they could fit into it, or
Mm,
if that stimulus is actually well coordinated. Because there are moments where it genuinely is, like Donkey being edited so that he's singing
yeah,
properly. And like things like the hallway that they filmed in, that's with the red doors, the more olive green carpet, and then the kind of turquoise walls.
mhm,
That's actually like with the level they've saturated it, it is a nice color palette.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so
They're certainly competently shot, I guess, even if the style is sort of obnoxious with the thrusting and the fisheye lens and that sort of stuff.
and so I think this is actually legitimately very good.
Okay, I think I think I know how to put. But I'm struggling. Like, you actually think that level of saturation and the fisheye, like, because I know what I think I've gotten from our episode today is that you're more interested in the directing and the cinematography and that sort of thing. But just because there's a good color palette, can you actually say that like the level of saturation, the costuming, the the lenses used, and all these sort of things, is that actually good?
Well, about the fisheye lens, so I don't watch many music videos ever. I would
Mhm.
before we started doing this, I guess. Not
Yeah,
to destroy my credibility completely on this podcast.
I've
So
already destroyed mine, so it's fine.
yeah, so as I haven't watched many new music videos, I can't say that I'm as fed up with the fisheye lens as you are,
Okay.
just in and of itself. And
Mhm.
so in this, I was certainly I certainly I did mention that the way they block him just makes him look way too big, but that's like part of it. It's like they're it's like a prank on him and he doesn't even realize it.
Okay. This has definitely been the hardest to interpret so far of all the videos.
Yeah,
You're going with the it's a prank on Steve.
yeah, I
Um,
think so.
and I think I'm going with I think it's just confused and they want funny shots of face reveals. And like they want funny shots of face reveals and they want this joke at the end where he doesn't actually he's not actually attracted to this girl who's he's picked up. And I think they jam both of them into it, which sort of confuses any potential subversion because the like, I feel like my expectations are already subverted with the funny face reveals, and then when we get to him not being interested, wants nothing to do with this girl at the end, that's like one subversion too far. I was already thinking that this is something like ridiculous, and the second subversion sort of clashes with the first, if that makes sense. It doesn't. It loses its punch sort of because of that. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm I mean, I'm leaning towards this being very good, but I'm still this still kind of confuses me on a number of levels.
Yeah.
And and so it almost in that way demands repeat viewings to understand it more.
Oh, this is like Shakespeare and how many layers there are. It's like
And so
this is
I
not
feel like
easy.
I can't call it bad. That just wouldn't be fair to something that to this. At least
That
not
you
yet
why?
anyways.
Because you don't understand it yet. You're not a write a thesis on this first, and then you'll be able to decree.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I just think if it was supposed to subvert cliches and such, then like the uber cliche like face reveal stuff is definitely clashing with the ultimate ending of the plot and its subversive nature. So for that reason, I think it's just doing too much. It's going for too many comedic points, and they sort of undercut any consistent way that the video can possibly be interpreting the song, if that makes sense. Like the video uh, is so all over the place that it doesn't allow for it to actually have a consistent perspective on the song. Um, so I guess what I'm trying to say is it's just too ambitious.
It's too ambitious.
Just too
Um,
ambitious. They tried to do the Don Quixote of the 21st century music video. They tried to write the Great American music video, and I think they just came up a little short.
maybe. I'm gonna give this a 4 though.
Wow. Okay, wait. I think this might be our first. This is gonna be a solid one for me. I'll be honest.
Solid 1.
Until to be fair, until we started talking, I didn't see it as really subverting, um, being as subversive as it is, about cliches of love and that sort of thing. Um, which is not something I thought I would ever be saying. But for that reason, I think I'm gonna go two because it's probably pretty bad, but I can see some interpretations where it's good. No, I just hate it. I just hate it. It's a one for me.
1. That is fair. Um, I
Like,
just think with this actually gives something to the song that on its own would be completely dead. And the song is like a corpse. And this is like a form of CPR that has miraculously given it life. And even if that life is an unholy abomination of a Frankenstein's monster,
mhm.
it's still kind of fascinating to pore over this mangled corpse.
Yeah,
And that sounds like a completely negative thing to say, and it might be, but
yeah.
I just can't shake the feeling that this is actually a good noteworthy music video.
Okay. I to work with your analogy there. I feel like I found a corpse that has been like desecrated or something, like it's been cut up and pissed on or something. And it's like maybe I can actually interpret this as like some sort of strange ritual, some sort of, it's got some sort of morbid beauty to it or something. But really it feels like I'm putting in all the work into something that was really just someone wanking off and like trying to make a big hit with no actual respect for what the original song is about. And so that's why I think I have to give it a one out of originally it was just purely out of spite. Now it's also out of I'm being confused by the video. So I hate it and I don't it's not even clear whether that's the proper interpretation, but it's doing no work to actually tell me what the proper interpretation is. So um I don't think I can give it credit for that either. Have we said our pieces?
I think we've said our pieces. Let's outro
Okay.
time.
This was this was perhaps the most challenging. Honestly, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see the massive difference in our opinions there. Um, that's the second highest rating that you've given one of these videos so far. I'm
Yeah, I
just to make
know.
that clear, not to undermine your credibility anymore.
Yeah, out of all
You,
the
you
videos so far. the only two that have actually caught my attention in a meaningful way were this and Blackwell's Son.
Okay, so there's the two. Okay, not Billy, I guess. I was gonna say the two modern ones, and claim that you are just a child of the 21st century and need your contemporary visuals, um, your ADHD visuals. But I guess that's not true. Um, Next week, um, okay, right now I'm gonna ask you what we're. Did you have one to do next week that's like a thematic one, some sort of aesthetic
Um,
topic, or do we just want to keep on going with chronological stuff?
well, no, I didn't have a thematic topic, so
Okay,
that kind
we'll
of I
just
know we're kind of ruining our structure, but
no. We can we don't have to oscillate back and forth every time. And we'll make sure we get this out. Last time we got it out on Wednesday, the episode, so I think we need to get this one out on Thursday, so that we're working with a consistent 8-day schedule,
okay,
um, so that it comes out a different day every week. Um, but
that's what
next,
people want.
that's the sort of consistency people need. Um, so next week we're, I think, going to be doing Penny Lane and Something, both by the Beatles, and then Starstruck from the Kinks, and Communication Breakdown by Led Zeppelin. So it's four, but um, I think we'll be able to cover that in a reasonable time. We're not gonna. I don't see any Smash Mouth divergences coming and throwing us into theoretical chaos. Um, so I think that will be fun and concise and good. And anything else that you would like to say, Giovanni?
Um, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.